The coaching industry loves to entice us into making the big change. Reach for that big, hairy, audacious goal. Push through. But that's not how change works. Sometimes you don't want a big change. You just want to feel a little bit better. Today I'm talking about why you feel that way and how you can work with that desire to bring in long-lasting, sustainable change. I'm also sharing my unique approach to change management, which you can apply to your own life, to your team, or to your organization. Let's get started, shall we?
Well, hello, all you beautiful people, and welcome to Project Joyful, the podcast for health-centered leaders. I'm your host, Tracy Tutty, your medical herbalist, neuro-identity evolution practitioner, and high-performance coach. So hey, Project Joyful isn't just about being happy. It's about consciously creating a life you love. It's about remembering how to reconnect with your soul-centered joy. You know, that joy that comes from doing what you love, from living on purpose, and from being in a life that allows you to experience deep joy, moment by moment. It's also about bringing that joy into your workplace and using your skills as a health-centered leader to heal your team. So let's get started, shall we?
Change can be a big old scary thing. So often I witness conversations where my clients and patients come to me because they want to feel just a little bit better. They don't want to change it up. They just want to feel a little bit better than they do right now. They want work to run a little bit smoother, get a bit more support around the house. And from a nervous system perspective, I get it. Changing stuff is unfamiliar. We don't know how it's going to turn out. It requires energy, and until your updated identity kicks in, it requires commitment. I remember a time in my life where I wanted things to be different, but I simply didn't have the energy to make the change. The first step wasn't actually planning what needed to happen or doing one thing. The first step was building my energy reserves so I had the energy necessary to sustain the change until such time as that change became my new way of being. And here's what they don't tell you in change management and in those many big textbooks. Change happens on 3 levels: at a soul level, in your body, and lastly in your mind. Want to know why that change didn't stick? Look at the level that you worked through it at. If it was all mind-based, well, the rest of the committee simply wasn't on board. So before you look at implementing those change management frameworks like Kotter's 8-step change model, Lewin's change management model, or the Prosky methodology, take a moment to get all of your resources on board. And while I'm talking about this in relation to you as a leader and implementing personal change, these protocols can be applied to your team or your organization. We just use different words like culture, capacity, and process maps. So let's talk about your body. As I alluded to earlier, there's 2 aspects to this. Having the sustainable energy necessary to start and then sustain something that's different, and feeling safe within yourself throughout your change process. So let's talk about energy. Think about the energy that's galvanized when a plane takes off. There's a lot of moving about, getting in position and building up, and then you lift off. Then you're in the air. The same happens for your body in times of change. Getting in position is very different to feeling ready. Feeling ready is how your mind talks you out of doing stuff. Getting in position is about showing your body you have the resources necessary to safely get the job done. Needless to say, it takes a lot of energy to get to the launch part. One of the things I noticed in myself and saw in my clients was that if we don't have the energy, we can't imagine making the change. So creating that energy is the first step to getting your body on board. I like to do it through herbal medicine, through the use of adaptogenic herbs and tonics that are designed to recalibrate a sluggish digestion or reduce inflammation. And it's one of the things that we're talking about in my upcoming webinar, When You Feel Better, You Lead Better. Now, both key processes that consume a lot of energy if not dialed in. Herbalists work on a bespoke person-to-person level. So although there are a range of adaptogens, they influence the body in different yet subtle ways. I'd encourage you to work with a herbalist when choosing the herbs that will support you, as not only are we trained in herb drug and herb supplement interactions, we can also minimize any possible side effects. We're very particular about how a herb has been manufactured, if it's a tablet, or how it's been harvested, if it's a tincture or a tea. And we're very certain about the species and subspecies that we're prescribing for you. We look at what your body is presenting with, what season you're in, and generally what's going on that you could do with some support with. Now, you can get there through trial and error, but working with a professional bypasses the trying things out phase and gets results much quicker and much more safely. In terms of boosting energy, I also prescribe breathwork or somatic practices. So look at your stress adaptation protocols, your sleep, and how you stack your nutrition. The second body aspect is around nervous system regulation. Because in the words of my mentor, Tracy Litt, change happens at the speed of safety. So we need to help your body feel safe when planning the change, when making the change, and when integrating the change. Now, nervous system regulation is a very fashionable term amongst the coaching community at the moment. But what exactly is it? Well, it's how your body maintains balance and adapts to stress by dynamically balancing the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. So your sympathetic nervous system activates your fight, flight, or fawn response, while your parasympathetic system is your healer, facilitating relaxation and recovery. Now, here's the thing. Both states have their place. Your body is designed to dynamically move between the sympathetic nervous system response and back to the parasympathetic nervous system state. Nervous system regulation is not about avoiding the fight or flight response. That's called fawn or freeze, and it's sneaky. You're capable of rising to the threat, seeing it off, and here's the key, returning to the parasympathetic state. When you are regulated, you have an appropriate response to stress, and then you return to a calm, balanced state. There's no ruminating, there's no going back over things. You're back into recovery. Now remember, your body is a master of adaptation. This means if being in fight or flight is where you habitually hang out, you won't even realize that's your default state. You think it's normal. But just like driving your car around in first gear, it wears on your gears. Being in a long-term, heightened state is known as chronic stress. It's inflammatory, it requires a lot of energy to maintain, which is why you feel tired, and it's linked with the risk of developing a number of significant health conditions. So be like that pianist we talked about in episode 186 and play all the keys. So what does this mean for change management? Let me tell you about a thought-emotion loop. So a thought-emotion loop is a repeating cycle where your thoughts influence your emotions, which in turn lead to behaviors that reinforce those initial thoughts. Now, it can be helpful or unhelpful depending on the thought, but actually it's a bit deeper than how it's currently being defined because, get ready, how you feel also triggers thoughts that you have associated with that feeling. So, if you're feeling anxious, you're thinking anxious. If you're feeling liberated, you're feeling liberated. So why does understanding how this thought-emotion loop is showing up in your day-to-day matter? Well, it affects your mental health because these loops can spiral us into long-term stress, anxiety, and depression. Because our emotions are feeding back to our brains and generating more of the same types of thoughts, it can make it hard to think about other perspectives or solutions. So you feel like you're stuck and you're unable to do something about the circumstances you know you want to change. But here's the magic. Knowing this, you can use it to do the opposite. So if you're feeling joyful, Your body communicates the feeling of joy to your brain, and your brain generates more thoughts associated with your personal blend of joy. Now, the point is not to bypass how you're feeling. All feelings matter. It's how your body communicates with you. Somatic practices like breath work, shaking, feather work, they help you to process the emotion so you can move on to feeling something more helpful. Feel something more helpful and your body communicates that to your brain, and your brain responds by generating more helpful thoughts, which in turn trigger more helpful emotions, and the loop continues. Now, when it comes to change, nervous system regulation is everything. It's a game changer. So if you want to know more about this potent resource, check out my upcoming free webinar, When You Feel Better, You Lead Better. In addition to talking about those herbs that you'll find helpful, I'm also going to ensure that you leave this webinar feeling calm and relaxed and able to implement the steps to getting to that oasis of calm at work. The link's in the show notes. So what do I mean about approaching your chosen change from a soul level? This is about alignment. There are things, situations, people, experiences in your life that simply light you up. When you make a change and it moves you towards those things that promote ease and flow, making the change feel easier because it's aligned. The challenge is that we live in an age where there's an abundance of choice. How do we know what we want is aligned with our soul's desire? I mean, once again, the gateway to this wisdom is through your body, right? So play with me on this for just a moment. Now, if you're driving, you're working out, you're doing something that needs your full attention, please keep your eyes open. For everyone else, if it's safe to do so, close or hood your eyes for a moment. Now, hooding your eyes is when you gaze softly at the floor. Now, place your hand on your heart. And let's start by taking some long, slow, deep, luxurious breaths. Ah, good. Now, in your own natural breath rhythm, repeat these words out loud or in your head. Hey, body. Thank you, body, for everything you do for me. I really appreciate you. I love you. So tell me, body, what is one thing that our soul would love for us to experience? Now stay quiet. Notice how you feel. Is there a sensation? Is there an image, a sound, a color? Give it some space, give it some time. The more you do this, the more you strengthen the bond. The more you'll notice the messages your body is already sending you. Use this practice to get clear on your next aligned outcome. How interesting that we're talking about your mind last, don't you think? I mean, your mind is the least involved in the change management process, but often it's the loudest when you're changing it up. You see, your mind has one job, and that's to keep you safe so that you survive to play another day. To your mind, survival comes from doing what's predictable, day in, day out. Why? Well, because your mind can predict the outcome when you do the same things, when you think the same things, when you feel the same way. It doesn't care about how you feel, just feel the same. In our hunter-gatherer days, being able to predict the outcome literally stopped you from dying. Safety came from belonging to the tribe, no matter what. So you played your part, you followed the rules, you behaved in a way that you'd been trained was pleasing to the tribe. Because there's safety in numbers. There's safety in not rocking the boat. That was then, not now. Predictability meant that we returned home safely from a day of hunting. We could predict the weather, where our prey were hanging out that day, which berries we could eat, which plants we left alone. And we've not outgrown that. It's hardwired within each of us. We still search for safety, but our environment has changed. We're still hunting and gathering, but now it's in the boardroom. It's at the school pickup. It's in line at the supermarket checkout. Our mind feeds us keep things the same thoughts. So we feel the same feelings in response to those thoughts. We stay in our comfort zone. Oh, hello, thought emotion loop. See how powerful it is? So what do you do when the resistance is up? Your mind is shouting at you and you feel yourself wavering. Talk to your mind. Soothe it. Reassure it. Go back to your body and use your power. Work that thought emotion loop by regulating your nervous system so more helpful thoughts flow into your mind. And then when safety's been restored to your body, go do the thing. So often we want something different, but we don't want to throw everything up in the air and make the big change. We don't want to seek out that big, hairy, audacious goal. We just want to feel a bit better. And in those times, that's our focus. We're not scaring our body by throwing everything up in the air. We're just going to make it a little bit better. Check your energy. What can you bring in to give your energy a boost, to build that reservoir? Check in with your soul. Would this one thing that you will think about doing make me feel better? Will it move me towards my North Star? Now work with your body. Bring in those helpful emotions. Move your body. Honor your body by listening to all the messages. Play all the notes. Bring in those somatic practices to help your body process how you're feeling. Then, when your body is ready, move to a new emotion. Focus on feeling safe within yourself once more. And then go do the thing. Don't just stop there. Once you've done the thing, take care of your body. Calm them. Reassure them. Love them. Heal them. Sending you lots of love. Bye for now.
Hey, thanks for listening to today's podcast. Can I ask you a favour? If our conversation spoke to you today, could you please take a moment to leave a 5-star review? Your review will help people discover this podcast, and together we can create a world where there's even more love and more laughter. And if you want to hear more from the Project Joyful podcast, just click the subscribe button. Bye for now.